Act of Worship, your source for commentary and discussion on worship, theology, and culture. I'm your host, Dr. Jonathan Michael Jones.
Hello and welcome to the Act of Worship podcast. This is Dr. Jonathan Michael Jones. Thank you for joining me today as we continue through the Psalm Project. I have thoroughly enjoyed this and gained so much from this. We only after this have, 11, 12, 13 more to go. So here we are in Psalm 138 today. Psalm 138. The next 8 Psalms are assigned to David. And again, I've mentioned this before. If someone says to you, David wrote the Psalms, just tell them they are completely wrong. David did not write the Psalms. Approximately half of them he probably wrote, and there are even some that are uncertain that he truly wrote. But he did write a good number of them, just he did not write the Psalms. There are other authors in the book of Psalms. Psalm 138 speaks of giving thanks to the Lord, and it does reference gods, plural, gods. I will get into that and let you know what that means here in Psalm 138. Let me read for you the 8 verses of this psalm. I give you thanks, O Lord, with my whole heart. Before the gods I sing your praise. I bow down toward your holy temple and give thanks to your name for your steadfast love and your faithfulness. For you have exalted above all things your name and your word. On the day I called, you answered me. My strength of soul you increased. All the kings of the earth shall give you thanks, O Lord, for they have heard the words of your mouth, and they shall sing of the ways of the Lord, for great is the glory of the Lord. For though the Lord is high, he regards the lowly, but the haughty he knows from afar. Though I walk in the midst of trouble, you preserve my life. You stretch out your hand against the wrath of my enemies, and your right hand delivers me. The Lord will fulfill his purpose for me. Your steadfast love, O Lord, endures forever. Do not forsake the work of your hands. So immediately in verse 1, we see this term gods. Before the gods, I sing your praise. This is similar to Psalm 82, which was composed by Asaph. And when it mentions gods, there are a lot of interpretations on this. Some scholars take this as a reference to angelic powers or lesser spiritual beings who make up God's heavenly council. Another interpretation is that this is literal, that gods is literal as deities that are made subordinate to Yahweh. But the most probable interpretation is that the gods are human judges. The Hebrew word Elohim, gods, is used of human judges in the book of Exodus. And so with this, the human nature of these gods is indicated here. And so that is probably what this means, although I do not deny that it could be one of the other 2 interpretations. Either way, it is obviously not talking about Yahweh, the Lord of Lords, King of Kings, God of Gods. And so in many translations, it's a lowercase g. Before the gods, I sing your praise. Whatever the case is, David is saying that before all of the earthly powers or these other, maybe even angelic powers, before other heavenly, divine powers, human powers, earthly powers, before all other powers, I will praise you because you are the power of powers. You are the God of gods. And so he says, I will give thanks, O Lord, with my whole heart. And one reason I think that this is talking about earthly rulers and judges is because of verse 4. All the kings of the earth shall give you thanks, O Lord. So David knows that his individual praise is unworthy of the greatness of God. And so he envisions all the rulers of the world calling upon the Lord. This never happened during the period of the Old Testament. If anything, the kings of the earth were opposed to God, and you see this even in the book of Psalms. But after the coming of Christ, the gospel was extended to the nations, and in the end, all the kings of the earth will bring their glory to the new Jerusalem, as referenced in Revelation 21. Verse 6, we've seen references to this and similar things to this throughout the Psalms. The Lord, though he is high, he regards the lowly. We've seen this compassion for the oppressed, the lowly, and the poor. It says, though the Lord is high, he regards the lowly. In other words, he cares for them and meets them in their need. Verse 7, though I walk in the midst of trouble. The trouble here is general, which enables later worshipers, including us, to readily apply this thought to our own condition. So this is a psalm that speaks of giving thanks to the Lord for his steadfast love, for his compassion, for his care, and doing so in a manner that the entire world will see it. So here is Psalm 138 set to music. Thank you for listening today to the Act of Worship podcast. This is Dr. Jonathan Michael Jones.
With all my heart, my thanks I'll bring before the gods, your praise I'll sing. I'll bow down toward your holy place and praise your name for truth and grace. For you have magnified your word so far above your name adored. You answered me the day I called. You strengthened me and made me bold. All kings of earth will thank you, Lord. They'll sing when they have heard your word. The Lord's ways they will celebrate. The glory of the Lord is great. The Lord, although exalted high, on lowly ones will keep his eye. But those who proud and haughty are, he knows them only from afar. Through trouble though my pathway be, my life you will preserve from me. With outstretched hand you will oppose the wrath and anger of my foes. Your right hand, Lord, will set